Hello gamers, and welcome back to Red Scott Games. You may have heard of survivor style games where you're surrounded by hordes of enemies and you have to move around, dodging enemies, collecting XP, and most of your weapons and abilities are activated automatically. And today I've tried to capture that essence into board game form in a game that I have called Temple Survivor. In Temple Survivor, you are this adventurer, trapped completely inside this temple. There's gems to steal, there's hearts to get more health, and there's these ominous looking pits in the ground. You can imagine what might come out of there. And you're fighting against these mummies or skeletons and trying to survive as long as possible. So, let me go over some of the basics of the game. So blue cards, which right now is only movement, are action abilities. That means they're things you do actively in the game. In this case, movement, just like in a survivor game, you're moving around, you're avoiding enemies, and you're lining up shots. And these tan cards are your weapons and other abilities that activate automatically every turn, or every time they reload or whatever. And each of these cards can be upgraded. They have 3 different levels. When you start the game, you're able to choose between the torch and the revolver. Today I'm going to use the torch. And let me dive into sort of how the anatomy of these cards. So first you see here is the number 1. That means it activates every turn. And number 2 will activate every other turn, and number 4 will be every 4 turns. And that's kept track of here on this clock. So every turn we just move this cube around the clock, one space, and you can see it lists which numbers we activate, so that way we don't have to keep track. Down here we've got this diagram. This arrow and little black square represents your character, and the arrow lines up with the arrow on your person. These red blocks are the effective range of your weapon. And then down here is the ability. So you can see we do 1 damage, that's explosion means damage, in 2 adjacent spaces. So that means anywhere in this, as long as they're adjacent, flat side to flat side, and then we add a fire token to that space. So let's say we were attacking here, there's no enemies there now, but we can add the fire tokens to the ground and they'll stay there for 1 turn. So any enemies that enter those spaces will be damaged. And then on our turn we can take up to 3 active actions. In this case moving, 1, 2, 3. We can choose to have our abilities activate at any time during our movement, but once we've activated our first ability, or once we've chosen to activate our abilities, they must all activate. In addition, when we upgrade, we can upgrade an existing card, or we can choose between 3 new cards. We'll just get out some examples here, but we have to pay attention because we're only allowed to have 1 of each number per slot until the existing card in that slot has been fully upgraded. Let's get into the enemies. So every turn, at the beginning of every turn, enemies will have their turn. So they'll move 1 space orthogonally towards the player. Basically, you just determine the shortest path to the player and follow that path. We have level 1, 2, and 3 and 4 enemies. That basically represents their health, how many hits they'll take to defeat. And also level 4 enemies have the extra added strength that they will do 2 hearts of damage. So as you can see, we only start out with 1 heart, but there's other hearts we can collect on the map. And while we're avoiding enemies, we can collect these green gems. And a green gem allows us to get a free upgrade, or it allows us to heal a heart that we've lost. So not take one of these that's out on the map, but say we have 2 hearts and we lose 1, then getting a green gem we can choose to take a heart back. We level up through experience gems that will drop on the ground. So we collect gems, and once our total gems we've collected reach 10, the sum, then we get to level up. And I'll explain how that happens, a little more about how that happens when we get to that point. Instead, I'm going to start the enemy setup. So set up the enemies by rolling the dice 4 times. So this black dice matches to these black numbers here. So it indicates which spawn point the enemies will come from, and then the red dice indicates the level of the enemies. So we got a level 3 enemy on spot 3. And when you start to get multiple enemies on a specific spot, then you just spawn them as close as you can to the spawn point, favoring being closer to the player. And a 1-on-1, alright. So something to note about these enemies. Level 1 enemies will not drop an experience point. Experience points drop when a level 2 enemy or higher flips over to a level 1. So let's say I manage to damage this level 2, would flip over to 1, and a experience token would be added to that enemy, which would drop when the enemy died. That about covers it. So I'm going to drop into the game here, and hopefully we can have some fun. First turn. This skull symbol means that new enemies are spawning. So first, enemies take their turn. That's always the first thing when you move to the next turn. So that's not orthogonal. Sorry. Boop boop boop. Ba-doop boop boo. All right, now new enemies spawn. We roll the dice one time for each of these green gems that is stolen. So that's going to escalate the more green gems we take. And we add one level 1 enemy per round. So each time we get back to this space, this will count up, and we'll spawn one more enemy than we did the last time. And we spawn those enemies in order, just going in circles, trying kind of evenly distributing them. So first one spawns on level 1, and then it's our turn. So I can move 3 times. I can use my torch will attack at some point of my choosing. So I move towards this heart down here. 1, 2, 3. I activate my torch. So I get to pick any of these squares surrounding me, or 2 of them, as long as they're adjacent. So I'm going to choose these 2, so hopefully as this enemy moves towards me it might get hurt, but probably won't because fire only stays around on the ground for 1 turn. Alright, pretty simple. Now the enemies move. They can occupy the same space as these gems and these hearts, so I'll just move these guys downwards. So enemies move first, then you get rid of the fire, and then it's my turn again. I'm going to collect this heart. 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and go for one of these gems. So then my torch will activate, and I'll put it here. Put them here and here. Now we'll resolve this gem. So I'm obviously going to pick an upgrade, right? I think I'm going to take my chances with trying to get a new weapon. Alright, here we go. So we got the fire bottle. So now we've got an effective range of these spaces, 2 spaces away from our player. And you can say we add fire tokens to 4 spaces in the shape of a square or rectangle. So like the next one is 6. Obviously you can't make a square, but you can make a rectangle. And it must originate inside those outer squares. So I will only activate every 4 turns, but it's better than nothing. So now, just so we don't forget, I'm going to plunk this black thing down. That's how we mark that that's been taken. And then we'll move on to the next turn. Enemies, I mean at this point it kind of doesn't matter, but they'll technically move low or highest to lowest. So this guy lands here. But he is now on fire. He takes 1 damage. Oops, he's down to 2 now. He takes 1 damage. And he's on fire. And now it is my turn again. I keep trying to collect health and experience, and hopefully I can get some nice upgrades and stuff. I'm gonna try to go up to the top here. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Took the black guy with me. This doesn't activate. My torch can activate, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it here and here. Enemy's turn. So enemies on fire take 1 damage per turn that they're on fire. So and they take that damage when it's their turn. So this guy moves. Then he flips over and he's on fire double. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw that one away. They'll basically stay on fire until they're dead. And because we flipped over a 2 to a 1, we take our experience token and add it to that giant stack. Oh man. And we'll move the rest, take the rest of these turns here. Alright, so hopefully I can take this guy out with my torch. So swing my torch. This fire actually disappears because it's on the ground. So this guy is out, and this token drops to the ground. I add fire here and here. Now I can move if I want to. Sorry, one. I'll move to here. But I do want to get that experience point, you know? Alright, moving on. So now it's the spawning turn, but first the enemies take their turn. So this guy lands here. He is on fire. So I'll take a damage. And token. Hold on. All this stuff getting stacked up. Token stays on the ground, not on him. Give these guys their turn. Now we spawn. So that's round 2. So we'll put enemies one level 1 enemies here and here. And then we've taken a gem. We're gonna roll the dice. So that's a level 4 enemy on spot 3. And now we have an advantage though, and that is that we can add a fire. Or we can use our fire bottle this turn. So I'm gonna go up here and try to fire bottle these guys. So I just need to be here basically. So as long as one part of your 4 squares is inside this red, that's how you know you're good. So I'll just move there. Makes my torch less useful, but I'll torch here and here. And then fire. So just choose this square as the corner, kind of. Fire, 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 fire. And now because this doesn't say 1 damage, it just says fire, these don't take damage until they take their turn, which is right now basically. I technically can move again, so I'll move there. These 2 guys move, but they're also defeated. This guy's defeated. Then this guy's move, you know, all the enemies. And then all fire from the ground is removed. Perfect. I was going up for that heart, but I gotta get this, I wanna get this experience as well. Oh well, we're closer to the heart. So 1, 2, 3, we'll just go for it fully. Alright, now we got 3 hearts, that's pretty good. Only our torch can activate. I'm gonna move this over here in case we get a 2. Only our torch can activate, so I'll put it there and there. That seems like pretty obvious choices. And now it's the enemy's turn. This guy's on fire, and he is defeated. So enemies move, 1, 2, 3, and then this fire token goes away. We take another turn. I'm gonna come get this experience, hopefully. 1, 2, 3. And I'll fire, use my torch here and there. And then we got another spawning turn, so we're up to 3. So the rifle, as you can see, goes in the cardinal directions, up, down, left, right, and these arrows mean that it has an effect in an infinite distance in that direction. So it just takes Only happens every other turn, but it does 2 damage in one line. So I can pick basically one of those lines, one of those arrows to affect, and do 2 damage to everything in that line. That's gonna be a pretty good weapon. So now I have to start thinking. I gotta start thinking about not only what am I trying to collect on the map, but also how am I lining up for my rifle and my torch. And my turn. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So you're now at 11. So I'll keep this extra one. So how this goes is I take the highest one and set it aside. That's how I keep track of leveling up. Put everything else back except, anything above 10. And then I can upgrade something. I'm gonna upgrade this. So I can fire in 2 directions now. Now that we've leveled up, we'll be rolling the dice 3 times. Next turn, enemies. This guy is defeated. Should I get this upgrade? We'll really be increasing our power at that point. 1, 2, 3. Sure, why not? So I can upgrade again. Fire in 6 places. Shoot in 4 directions. 4 places of damage with fire. Wow, this becomes almost as good as this, except for the range. We'll do that. Well, actually, because I can't get a new weapon until I've upgraded something fully. So maybe I'll just upgrade this one again. So now I can shoot all 4 directions. Plunk a black token down. So I'm going to shoot out this direction, take care of these guys. Nothing down, nothing to the right, nothing up. And level 4 at spot 4. Oh man. That adds a lot to the board. Now it is my turn. I can do all my abilities. Excellent. I gotta think about the best way to do this. Gotta really take advantage of this rifle. Unfortunately, it only does 2 damage, so if I'm here, I'll take out this guy, and I'll hurt that guy. But he'll be down below 4, so only take 1 heart of damage. Is that worth it? Sure. Actually, I can get him down. I can do fire, 1 damage, fire, kill that guy, rifle, boom, okay. Drops an experience, boom, boom. And this guy takes down to 2, or 1 actually, 3. And he's on fire, so when he takes his turn, he'll die. And he has an XP 2 now. It's the monster turn. So this guy perishes right away. He can attack me because when he takes his turn is when he dies. When he gets hurt by the fire. So lose a heart. Drop the XP. Fire goes away. These fires go away. News. 1, 2, 3. Surround charge. Extra experience. The torch. It's not here. It's not here. That's okay. And turn. Size 3. News here. Comes on 2. 2 meter stack. Second here. Comes on fire. Damage. It's okay. Surrounded. Let's do 6, 2. Okay. It's the right turn. Alright. So, black and white first here. Auxiliary here. There we go. See there. Get that guy. First guy. Might be. Okay. Get the helmet. 1, 2, 3. I'm happy to take that thing. So I'm at 8. Alright. So wait, and then it's turn. Okay. I get to turn 4. Everything goes down. And I need to heal this shit. I don't know. Let's just go for it. I'll take this thing. It's getting kind of insane. Most important thing is not getting surrounded. Alright. Big turn here. Alright, we're at 10. So anything above 10, you start adding level 3 enemies. So 10. And then roll the dice 6 times. You know what? Oh boy, that's not gonna work, is it? Alright. That is a lot of stuff going on. Alright, which brings our total to 10 at last. Oh man. I can upgrade. I'm gonna upgrade my movement finally. So I can move diagonally. It's gonna help give me an advantage over the enemies. Oh man. I can do 1, 2, 3 now. I can do that now. It just barely puts me out of harm's way. On turn 11 now. So that means what we do, 9, 10, and then on 11 we upgrade to a level 3. And now we're rolling the dice again. It's like every spot on the map is covered in enemies. Half of it anyway. One day they'll get me. Don't worry, guys. Good news is, got all my abilities back. Quick jump forward here. So I lasted a long time, but eventually they took my last heart. There's enemies everywhere, XP, fire, you name it. It was a crazy ride. I think it's perhaps it took a little bit too long. I think perhaps it needs to be a little bit harder with the way the enemies are able to attack. So maybe some tweaking. I'm gonna keep playing around with it, and maybe I'll make it public on Tabletop Simulator at some point in the next little while. So thanks for watching. Look forward to this and subscribe for more videos.